Have you ever wondered what it would feel like to truly wake up each morning free from the old worries and habits that have held you back for years? Do you sometimes sense there's a lighter, more peaceful way to live just beyond the weight of daily expectations? What if life after 65 could be less about carrying burdens and more about savoring every moment with clarity and happiness? It absolutely can. Stay until the end. What you'll learn might change your life. If you find value in this video, don't forget to subscribe, give us a like, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Release the need for perfection. For decades, we strive for excellence at work, in the home, and within our communities. The drive to do things just right is admirable, but after 65, the pursuit of perfection can quietly morph from motivation to a source of stress. Maybe you spent years meticulously planning family gatherings, ensuring every detail was flawless on holidays, or perhaps you always push yourself at work, never allowing a mistake or small setback. Over time, these habits may have become internalized, shaping the way you approach daily life even now. You might hesitate to start a new hobby unless you're certain you'll be good at it, or shy away from social situations out of worry you won't come across as polished as you wish. But the truth is, perfect moments are rare, and often it's the imperfect ones that become the most cherished memories. Think about a family dinner where the pie got a little too brown, or a birthday party where someone sang off-key. Were those not the stories you laughed about later? Perfectionism, while once a guiding force, can rob you of joy by keeping you focused on what is not quite right instead of what is wonderful about today. Now is the time to realize that good enough really can be great, and that spontaneity and authenticity bring a beauty all their own. Life doesn't have to look like a magazine spread to be meaningful. Embracing the messiness, laughter, and even the missteps at this age allows you to truly relish the richness of your experiences without judgment or regret. Ask yourself, how much lighter would you feel if you allowed things to be a little less perfect and a lot more real in your life right now? Let go of comparing your journey. For many years, it's easy to fall into the habit of measuring your life against others. Whether it's friends from your neighborhood, old coworkers, or even family members, there's a subtle pressure to see how you stack up. Social gatherings sometimes become silent scorecards. Who took the biggest vacations? Whose grandkids are excelling? Who seems the healthiest? Who moved to a new house? With social media and constant updates, the temptation to compare can sneak into your daily routine without even realizing it. Perhaps you find yourself thinking, should I be doing more? Should I look different? Should I have accomplished what they did? But behind the scenes, every person, no matter how pulled together they seem, faces struggles and disappointments that are invisible to others. Comparison often does nothing but steal your joy and distract you from all the unique goodness in your own life. Imagine a garden. Each flower blooms at its own pace and in its own way. If the rose worried about not being a daffodil, or the lily wished it were a tulip, the garden would lose its beauty. Your life story is just as distinctive. No one has walked your path, felt your emotions, or seen through your eyes. The victories and setbacks you experienced are entirely your own, and that's something to cherish rather than critique. Celebrating small wins, revisiting fond memories, or simply appreciating what you've overcome can open your heart to new gratitude. So, the next time you catch yourself measuring your worth by someone else's yardstick, remember that your journey is not meant to look like anyone else's. If you stop comparing your path to others, could you find new pride in the life you've created and a deeper sense of peace with where you are right now? Release the burden of guilt. Over the years, it's common to accumulate regrets or wish you had made different choices. Maybe you think back to a friendship that drifted apart, a conversation where words came out wrong, or a missed opportunity to show kindness or patience to a loved one. Occasionally, these memories replay in quiet moments, bringing with them a sting of guilt that lingers far longer than it should. It's easy to believe you could have prevented someone's disappointment or changed the course of an event if only you'd acted differently. But in truth, nobody moves through life without missteps. At this stage, carrying old guilt is like hauling an invisible but heavy suitcase on a gentle walk. You don't need it anymore, and it only slows you down. Imagine visiting a favorite spot from your past. Perhaps you recall times filled with laughter, but also moments you wish you could change. Rather than letting guilt shape how you feel about those memories, try to see them with compassion. You made decisions based on what you knew at the time, your circumstances, and your heart in that moment. Consider how you would treat a dear friend who's feeling remorse over something long gone. You'd offer forgiveness and encourage them to move forward. So offer yourself the same kindness. Releasing guilt doesn't mean forgetting or ignoring what happened. It means accepting your humanity and letting those old burdens loosen their grip on your spirit. When you reflect on your past with understanding rather than judgment, you make space for joy and healing now. Ask yourself, if you chose to forgive yourself for what you can't change, how much more room would you have for happiness and new possibilities? Say goodbye to the weight of unmet expectations. Throughout life, it's natural to set milestones and hope certain dreams will unfold just so. Maybe you imagined your retirement would bring endless travel, or that relationships with family would be effortless and close-knit. As the years pass, reality sometimes draws a very different picture. Aches and pains may hinder adventures you once dreamed of, or perhaps grown children are busy with their own lives, making frequent visits rare. Disappointments, big and small, can gather quietly, creating a sense of something missing or dreams left unfinished. There's a story many can relate to. Someone who spent years looking forward to visiting distant places once work was over. But when that time came, health challenges or other responsibilities made those journeys impossible. The expectation of adventure became a shadow instead of a source of excitement. In moments like these, it's easy to dwell on what hasn't happened or wish things were different. But clinging to old expectations can block you from noticing the everyday gifts life still offers. Maybe you can't climb mountains abroad, but you can stroll through your local park and discover wildlife and beauty you overlooked before. Perhaps your family isn't around as much as you'd like, yet you find connection in surprising new friendships or community activities. Letting go of what you once thought should be opens the door to appreciating what is, right here, right now. The process isn't about giving up on dreams, but adjusting your lens, allowing fresh opportunities to reveal themselves where disappointment once lived. Can you imagine how much lighter your days could feel if you traded the weight of old hopes for gratitude for the unexpected joys waiting around you? Free yourself from a need for total control. After a lifetime spent making decisions, managing households, raising children, or building a career, it's only natural to want things done a certain way. Maybe you find comfort in planning every detail of family events, organizing the home just so, or sticking to familiar routines. This habit can offer a sense of safety and predictability, especially when the outside world feels uncertain. But life after 65 often brings reminders that no amount of planning shields us from the unexpected. Perhaps you remember preparing a perfect holiday dinner, only for a storm to keep half the guests at home. Or maybe you felt frustration when a loved one decides to take a different path than the one you would have chosen for them. These moments are gentle teachers, suggesting that trying to control every outcome can lead not to security, but to more tension and disappointment. With age comes an opportunity to loosen your grip and let life unfold in its own surprising ways. Instead of insisting on a meticulously set table, you might find that laughter during an impromptu meal is what everyone remembers most. When you allow others to make their own choices, even if they do things differently than you would, you see loved ones grow and become confident in their own right. The art of letting go of control is not about giving up, but choosing where you invest your energy. You can still care deeply while recognizing that freedom for yourself and others guides relationships toward greater trust and joy. Imagine how your days might shift if you welcome change with curiosity rather than resistance. What new experiences might you savor if you gave yourself permission to relax your hold and discover the unexpected gifts in life's unscripted moments? Release the burden of old grudges. Over a lifetime, it's nearly impossible to avoid moments of hurt or misunderstanding. Maybe an old friend made a careless remark years ago, or a sibling failed to offer support when it mattered most. These incidents often leave invisible marks that linger, even as circumstances and people change. Sometimes, holding on to these grievances can feel justified, a way to protect yourself or to remember your own value. But gradually, carrying persistent resentment becomes a quiet, yet constant weight that crowds out peace and enjoyment. There's a story of a man who met a former neighbor at a local market after decades of silence. They had fallen out over a property dispute, each convinced they were right. That brief encounter, though awkward, led to a conversation over coffee, where both realized how little the old argument mattered anymore. The weight they'd carried for years vanished in a single afternoon, replaced with relief and a faint sense of regret over lost time. Letting go of old grudges doesn't mean pretending you were never hurt or ignoring the lessons those moments taught. Instead, it's about lightening your spirit, choosing to put down what no longer serves you. As you move forward, ask yourself if forgiveness could bring more comfort than clinging to past wounds. Are those old stories robbing you of the contentment you deserve today? Imagine the freedom that might come from loosening your grip on grievances and allowing your heart to rest easy. Whose forgiveness, either asking or offering, might lighten your life and open the way to renewed connection or much-needed inner peace? Stop letting fear of the unknown hold you back. There comes a stage in life when change feels riskier than ever before. After 65, it's easy to settle into well-worn habits and familiar comforts, thinking it's safer to avoid anything new. The idea of starting a new hobby, joining a club, or traveling solo might spark uncertainty, even anxiety. You may remember a friend who hesitated to take painting classes after retirement, convinced they wouldn't fit in or might embarrass themselves. Months later, after some gentle encouragement, they tried, and not only found joy in painting, but also made friends who shared common interests. The initial hesitance melted away as their confidence grew, and their days became brighter and more meaningful than they ever expected. Fear of the unknown has a way of whispering, "What if you fail? What if you don't belong?" But every stage of life brings fresh possibilities if you're willing to step through the door. Consider the stories you've told yourself about what you can or can't do. Are they still true today? Opportunities for fulfillment and growth don't disappear with age. They simply look different. A book club instead of a board meeting, a dance class instead of a workplace seminar, or a volunteer project instead of a daily commute. When you let go of fear's hold, you open space for surprise, delight, and even new purpose. Imagine how it would feel to greet each day thinking, "I wonder what new adventure I'll discover," instead of fearing what could go wrong. If you could face the unknown with a sense of curiosity rather than caution, what might you try for the very first time? And how could that change your next chapter? Let go of the habit of self-neglect. Throughout life, responsibilities often come first: caring for family, maintaining a home, meeting work commitments. And over time, it's easy to lose sight of your own needs and well-being. After 65, many people find that this habit of putting themselves last lingers long after obligations have lessened. Perhaps you've watched a spouse pour themselves into their career or their children's lives, only to struggle with making time for their own joy and care once the nest is empty. Maybe you recognize it in yourself: skipping regular checkups, ignoring persistent aches, or brushing off hobbies in favor of errands that no longer hold the same importance. For so long, focusing on others brought a sense of purpose, but it's just as vital to nurture your own wellness, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. Self-neglect can be subtle, showing up as saying yes when you'd rather rest, or feeling guilty for choosing solitude or leisure. Yet, acts of self-care now can refresh your energy and strengthen your ability to bring light to the people and passions that matter. Each step towards prioritizing your well-being, be an afternoon walk, a favorite novel, or a long postponed health screening, is an act of kindness to yourself and a reminder that your needs matter too. As you make space for your own fulfillment, those around you benefit from your renewed spirit and vibrancy. If you've spent years ignoring small pleasures or your well-being, what might happen if you devoted just a little more time to yourself? Could prioritizing your health, comfort, and joy actually enhance not only your days, but also the lives of your loved ones? As you reach this chapter in life, it's clear that carrying unnecessary baggage, be it perfectionism, constant comparison, old regrets, unmet expectations, a need for control, lingering grudges, fear of new paths, or the habit of putting yourself last, only makes your journey heavier than it needs to be. Imagine the freedom in letting each of these weights slip away one by one, and feeling lighter with every step you take forward. The years behind you have brought wisdom, experience, laughter, and yes, their share of challenges, but the years ahead should feel unburdened, a time to savor what is real and present. The decision to let go is not about denying your past or your feelings, but about making conscious choices that give you peace, happiness, and clarity right now. You have earned this lightness. As you choose kindness for yourself, release old pains, and open your heart to new joys, you create a brighter space for yourself and those you love. Life is not measured by the things you hold on to, but by the moments you enjoy and the love you share. Remember, every day is a new chance to begin again, regardless of your age. There is still wonder, growth, and the possibility to discover more about yourself and the world than ever before. You are not alone. There are many others choosing this path of lightness with you. If this message touched your heart, comment the word wisdom below and share your thoughts or experiences. Subscribe to the channel for more reflections and gentle encouragement as you navigate this beautiful stage of life. May you walk onward with hope, strength, and a spirit as light as air.